as a Catholic, you don't discern if you should have a child. The exception is, do we postpone? Is this a time in our
discerning?
life? Your marriage is not so you can be united to your soulmate. The purpose of your marriage is to give yourself away. And if you say to your spouse, I'm going to give you everything except for my fertility, you're not actually giving yourself to your spouse in the way that you are meant to in the sacrament of marriage.
So, welcome to the Father Leo Show, where we are dishing out faith, culture, and commentary. And today our special guests are the founders of the Messy Family Project, Mike and Alicia Hernon. They describe themselves as adventurous.
It is great, Father Leo.
Yeah, Mike, Alicia. Wait, this is my show, Mike.
What's going on?
Welcome, and it is great to have you both here. Just a little bit of background. So you have been married for how long?
29, almost 30 years.
Congratulations. You have how many kids?
10 kids
just 10.
and five
Just 10.
5 grandchildren and 2 more on the way.
And you are the founders of the Messy Family Project.
That's
Yes,
right.
Because families with 10 kids,
Yeah.
A little messy.
a little messy. But before we get into all of that, just full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, I've known them for a very long time.
Yes.
Been many years.
It's been many, many years. So was it 1988, 87?
So I first met you when I was singing
No.
with, no. We first met in
Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 80s. 90s.
Why not?
Yes,
Russia. This
exactly.
Is just where
No.
all...
We were 91,
90-something.
92. 91, 92.
Okay.
And then I ran into you a second time
Sure.
when I was on the road with a woman doing music ministry.
Correct.
When you
And
were
we
a
came to your
seminarian.
parish. And
Not
I was
my
like,
parish, but I was working
A
as
parish.
youth ministry
Yes,
at
yes.
that parish.
Yeah.
And that's
Before
when
the
I
priesthood.
connected with you again.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
And then Mike was on that trip to Russia.
Yes.
You guys weren't dating at the time,
No,
No.
but it was very formative. And no.
but you were kind of crushing on each other.
yeah,
Oh,
totally.
absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
I
definitely.
saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, it just took me a little while to get her warmed up to the idea.
Yeah.
You know, but it took about 2 years for her to agree to go out with me. So
Yeah.
And now you are working in, I guess, the space of, how do you even call it? Family dynamics, family
Yeah.
mission, family
Yeah.
ministry.
Yeah.
W-
Yeah.
do-
Tell
and-
me about Messy Family.
Yeah, we want to make parents' lives easier, okay? Because busy moms, busy dads, they need some help. They need some encouragement. They need some tools. They need some help. And we want to walk alongside them. We want to help them in probably the most important role that they have, that our world needs: better moms and dads.
Right.
And that's what we do. We try to come alongside them and be that, maybe for some, an older brother or sister, and for others, we're just kind of walking with them on a journey and helping point out some of the pitfalls that we've experienced,
Yeah.
as well as some of the joys that we've found.
And I mean, in a line, like just real succinctly, our mission is to empower parents to embrace their sacred calling. And the reason that we say it in that way is because we don't have all the answers. You know, we don't, because there's not just one way to be a Catholic family. There's a lot of different ways that we can pursue this vocation of Catholic family life. But we want to empower parents so they can find their unique way of being a parent within the guardrails of the Catholic Church.
But so it's definitely Catholic.
It is Catholic.
Definitely Catholic.
But we're not really overly preachy, Father.
Yeah.
So Christians will be like, well, then I can't learn anything.
Well,
Christians can learn a lot.
we have a significant number, minority, but a significant number of non-Catholics who listen,
Right.
support, and find great benefit in what we're doing. But it's
that-
mostly Catholic.
And actually, the way I think about it is that when we say Catholic, the truths that the church teaches, they're not just true for Catholics, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
They're true for everybody, no matter whether you're agnostic, you're atheist, you're Muslim. It's like man and woman together, lifelong marriage. This is the best way to raise children. That's a Catholic idea,
So-
but it's also just
Universal.
true.
What about the single parent?
Yeah.
Yeah. We do have a number of single parents who follow along. And that's why it's embracing their sacred calling, right?
Right.
So we have a number of single parents who've contacted us who said, you were actually the father or the sister or the husband in some of these cases where I needed someone to be a sounding board. They feel like they're having a conversation with us by doing the podcast or some of the resources we offer to help them, because single parents struggle. Single parents have unique issues and challenges,
Even
right?
more.
Right?
Yeah.
Because all parents do, but single parents, they're in a very unique spot, right? And there's something we need as a church to really speak into the unique challenges they have.
And the thing about the single parents is that it's like one of our principles is that, and not even just our principle, again, this is just from the church, right? Is that the foundation of your family is your marriage, right? And that in the order of identity, I'm first a daughter,
Yep.
then I'm a wife, then I'm a mother. So what does that mean then for the single parent?
Right.
And one of the things, so Mike's parents are divorced, and so he has that real heart, for the single mom who's there doing, or single dad even, who is there doing that work of two parents. And one of the things he always encourages them to recognize is that you can't go from I'm a daughter, I'm a mother. You have to have that peer relationship with the Lord, with close friends. Maybe it's a sister, maybe it's and somebody else, because if you don't have that kind of support, you're really not going to be the mom that really God wants you to be.
But it really is going to begin with marriage.
It is.
And so I kind of want to talk about that first.
Yes.
Sure.
And then get into the rest. So you kind of develop a romantic crush on each other in Russia, and you start it's like
From Russia with
with
love.
love, exactly. So corny. I'm with a dad of 10, so I immediately developed dad jokes.
Come on, they're
it
good.
happens, it happens, Father. Yeah.
Don't worry. There was a process where you can get out of those dad
Yeah,
jokes.
exactly. 10 step. So how long did you date before you realized that you were going to get married?
Well, so we met orientation weekend
Again,
when we were in college.
in college. Okay.
And then, and it probably a year and a half, 2 years later, we started dating, and then we got married in our senior year. So for 2 years, and then, but
And did you know that you wanted to have a big family?
Well,
Or you just kind of
Mike
open?
comes from a family of 6, and I come from a family of 10. So Mike was like, "So we're gonna have 16 kids."
and she thought I was joking. No,
That's
So
not how
we-
math works necessarily.
I thought that's what happened.
Yeah, but that's not what happened.
No, neither one of us, I think, said a specific number, but I think we both wanted a large family. And growing up, 6 kids, that was the largest family we knew in
Yeah.
New York, right? And
You met her. She's
I
like,
met her and I'm like, whoa, this is
I was like,
awesome.
"You're the medium-sized family. What are you talking about?"
peons. and when you got married, when was the first? How soon after did the first baby come?
Well, he's getting really intimate here.
Wow.
Well, I kind of want to know because not like and if the math is off, I'm not making any judgment here.
we know this is a safe place, Father. We know
Exactly,
it's a safe place.
for all of you viewers.
That's why we call it the Messy Family Project. Okay?
Because I want to know, because everyone has this plan of having a perfect everything
Oh, yeah.
9 months from that moment or whatever, and then all of a sudden all heaven breaks loose.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
poop everywhere, and you have no sleep, and yet
Yeah.
you have to try to be romantic to each other to make the other 9.
Yes.
Well, we were married in January, and we got pregnant a few months after that. And that first pregnancy ended in a miscarriage,
Okay.
which was really difficult.
Yeah. The desire for a big family started off.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's part of the messiness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I remember calling my mom, and I remember her saying to me, the scripture, offer up your body as a living sacrifice, that this is something that just recognized God was with me, and that this is part of his plan, and that, it's carrying that cross at that time. But then soon after that, we, became pregnant again, praise God. And we had Katie in July. So
Well,
it
before
was
you
like,
moved on to Katie in July,
yeah.
I want to ask about baby number 1.
Yeah.
Did you name the child?
We did.
I always thought her name was Mary. I mean, that's what we
Okay.
Mary.
And in the miscarriage, it oftentimes leads to, I mean, I've seen this before, a division in the relationship. It can really break things up. How did you stay together through that death of your firstborn?
And not to over spiritualize it, but I just have this image of the two of us in the chapel praying together after we found out. And I
That's upset. I don't even remember that, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot,
remembered
Alicia. I
everything.
appreciate
And it was
all
very
these
poignant moment.
I just-
Clearly.
I know, but it's,
Moving.
Or he's
different
just making
things.
it up to make himself
I-
look good.
Everything about parenting is kind of a blur. You try to block things out at times.
But this was one that you remember.
I remember, and I just remember again, it was that that moment. And but it was also, we had a lot going on, right? When you first get married, you're changing your jobs, you're moving in to get, all these things are happening.
Never done it.
Yeah, I know.
So-
But it's just a collapse of everything. And I felt like this was one of many things that drew us closer, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
in that
it definitely.
time. And I and obviously the joy of them being pregnant, kind of overshadowed that, but we always had this, and we still, I would say, to this day, look back on, Mary, and then we named our first daughter, who was born, Katie Mary. And
Okay.
so there was some connections that we felt
So
like that
how many
started.
boys, how many girls?
We have 6 girls and 4 boys. So we always say we need 6 girls to civilize the 4 boys.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So.
Yeah. True story, father,
Come on,
When you have a bunch of boys, though, the average IQ goes down to the least common denominator by half.
Ouch.
But they're a great, awesome power.
So there is definitely a difference between boys and girls.
Oh man,
Have you heard this?
Yeah.
It's
At one
shocking and
point-
maybe illegal.
At one point, we had
And maybe
4
illegal.
we had 4 teenage girls in the house at the same time. There's a lot going on there.
Wow.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. Yeah.
That's almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so what were some of the lessons you learned from the first baby that you were going to definitely apply to the next 9?
Yeah.
Yes.
And by the way, when you say 10, are you counting Mary?
no.
Okay,
no.
so technically 11.
boys.
Well, technically 12
yeah.
because there was another miscarriage after our 5th child.
Okay.
Yeah. This thing's it
This
happens.
happens.
This-
Biology is
do.
not our own.
That's right.
So
Absolutely.
after Katie, Mary is born.
Yes.
And when soon after that you had
We had Patrick.
and how soon after?
So our first 3 are all about 16 months apart. So it's
16.
baby, 16 months,
Almost
baby.
Irish twins.
Yeah,
but
16
okay.
months,
Not the
another
same year.
baby. When I saw that 3rd child, that pregnancy test,
That-
I cried. I cried. I
that
felt
broke us.
totally overwhelmed. I had 2 children. My oldest was like, I don't know how old, so I can't do the math, like 20 months, and like a 3-month-old, 3 or 4-month-old.
Mm-hmm.
And then to
It
have
was crazy.
another positive pregnancy test, it was very overwhelming. And
Were
I
you
was
trying to
oh God, no.
prevent?
Yes.
Yeah,
we were not trying to have a
postpone
baby.
it.
We were, I was still figuring out my cycle and all of that. And the reason I share that is because we've had so many young moms contact us who feel like they are horrible people, that they are overwhelmed by a pregnancy. And I just want to say, you know what? Your emotions are your emotions. That's just where I was at that time. And it took a while
Yeah.
to kind
We
of
didn't
like,
want to tell anybody.
yeah.
We delayed. I mean, we were trying to postpone. Obviously, we're still working out the kinks on NFP,
At
but
that point, yeah.
Which is what we're going to just briefly talk about for a
Yeah,
minute, but keep
yeah.
going.
For sure.
but it was also the simple idea that work wise, there were so many like things that again kind of cascaded into our life
just
at that
weren't ready.
time,
Yeah.
emotionally, financially, all these things. But God thought we could, and
Yeah.
He gave us the greatest blessing. And it was overwhelming, whether it was moving from the man to zone defense, going from 2 kids to 3 kids, for us was a big deal.
It's a big deal to have one kid.
I know, but there was
true.
something that about the first 2 that we're like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
We were, our heads were above water, and then it was, nope, we're underwater.
And
We're-
also with the first 2, Katie and Patrick, if anybody who knows them, they're both of them are fairly easygoing, personalities. And then this 3rd child comes
Katie,
along.
Patrick, good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
They're awesome. But so not only was having a 3rd child overwhelming, but then that child herself was very difficult.
And what is her name? Just throw her under
Her name
the
is Laura, and she is amazing. But she was the baby who wouldn't sleep.
She was the colicky baby.
She was the colicky baby. She was
Sure.
the baby who wouldn't go to sleep, who woke up twice a night until she was 14 months old.
Wow.
I was completely sleep deprived. I was just waking up every morning being like, I just have to make it till nap time. That was my goal, was just make it till nap
Well,
time.
you know what? As a mom, first of all, the pregnancy takes, I've never had one before, so I can't really speak
yeah.
on this completely.
But you have heard.
I've heard. I've read a book.
Yeah.
And it just the biology,
Yeah.
the amount of energy that it takes for a mom to just
That's
hey,
right.
this is
That's
some
right.
serious stuff that's going on. And dad,
Absolutely.
certainly he's doing his job, he's working, but
Yes.
No, it's a
nothing
little
like
different.
this.
Yeah.
There's nothing like this. So
Yeah.
what were those life lessons that you were trying to learn and apply? Was there anything that you says, we got to do this differently? I mean, like I remember filming our first show. It was like, we got to do this differently. Made a checklist and we still haven't followed them.
Oh,
Yeah.
it feels like everyone has changed. You know, like meaning like each
True.
child, I feel like we've shifted and grown. And I remember very early on, one of the reasons I married my wife, not only was she beautiful and she had a great voice,
Yes,
but I
does.
really looked at her family and thought, she's got this. She knows how to deal with a big family. I came from a divorced family. I'm like, okay, she knows what she's doing. Well, when we first had kids, she was reading books and we are how to parent, how to do, and there was an actual, every book seemed to say that if you don't raise your kids this way, you will psychologically permanently scar them for the rest of their lives.
Oh, they scare the hell out of you.
And
Totally.
then the other book says the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And so now we're like, which way do we do it? How do our kids go to sleep? And it got to a place where we had to say, we're putting the books aside. Not that there isn't great wisdom in books or wherever, but that we needed to figure this out. And so I felt like in the first and second and really in the third is one who probably taught us the most
Yeah.
about,
That colicky baby.
oh crap, you know,
She taught us we're not actually in control.
we are not.
Yeah.
And that's when we figured out we need to get our own stuff together.
Yep.
And
I'm sure you said exactly
that. And then we came up with actually a more united plan, because before I felt like we were kind of parenting on our own.
So after that second child and your parents saw that you were, not struggling, but you were tired, you were overwhelmed, and parents are looking out for my boy, my girl, and they're saying, just don't have another baby for a couple years.
Yes.
Then this baby comes. And that's probably why you didn't kind of tell anybody, because I'm sure that some people would say, haven't you heard of contraception, for God's sakes?
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
haven't you?
Well, well, first of all, I would say my parents were coming from a family of 10.
Yeah.
My
Like,
parents
what are you
were
waiting for?
always 100% supportive.
Yeah.
And actually my dad, sometimes when I would call him about the fourth and the fifth, he would just laugh. He would just like,
Because he's like, yeah, suckers. We know this. Girl.
yeah, exactly. And then Mike's parents eventually did come around to being very
course,
supportive, because I think they got to the point they were like, they're
what can I
going to keep
do?
having kids. What are you going to do?
So 10 of them, 10 children, 12 and 2 in heaven.
Yes.
So 12 altogether.
Yes,
right.
yes.
But people are definitely going to even ask after the fourth one, haven't you heard of contraception?
Yeah.
And now, granted, I know where I'm going with this question.
Yes.
I want you to be able just to shed some light on the not the method only, but the mentality of natural family planning, because it's not just a way to prevent the baby. It's sometimes a way to just open yourself up to love each other. So
right.
let's talk about natural family planning. Let's talk about sex with a priest.
All right. So here's one comment we've gotten in the past. Is like, don't you have a TV? And I said to the person, meaning, why do you have so many kids? And I said, I'm sorry, if you think making love to my wife and watching TV is the same thing, you're doing one of those two things
they
wrong.
think that TV was
They said, well, don't you have a TV? Don't you have something else to entertain yourself with?
Right.
get out.
Yes.
Haven't they heard of porn?
Yeah.
Because that
And that's it, though, because for the world, they look at sex, and too many look at this as a leisure or entertainment or some just activity, right? This is a sacred communion between my wife and I.
Right.
This
Sex
is a
is not a
renewal.
leisure activity.
This is the renewal of our sacrament. This is a renewal of our love. And our love was oriented towards fruitfulness. Like our love is too
but
big.
that's the natural family planning mentality.
Yeah.
Is that it's you're planning your family with an openness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Towards
fruitfulness.
design. It was designed
Yeah.
this way. So our plan doesn't ignore the design. It embraces the design.
What do you mean by that? Like the embrace the design, meaning her biology in particular.
Yeah. So I have heard it said this way, that the our fruitfulness is one of the our sexual organs are organ that can't complete its very nature without the other. Meaning, I can hear on
Our
my own.
reproductive
Our
systems-
reproductive systems.
Our reproductive systems are incomplete.
And so, meaning that only together, a man and a woman, is it actually able to fulfill its
For example,
actual
you have a complete
production.
digestive system. You have a complete nervous system. You don't have a complete reproductive system because you can't reproduce by yourself. I don't have a complete reproductive system. It's only in unity together, man and woman, is there complete reproductive
I
system.
think we need a chart.
I know.
I think we need pictures, diagrams,
So
hand gestures.
the gestures will make it much more entertaining.
But I think it's good for us to recognize that this is something that's different
And it's
than
designed that
any
way.
other biological function. And I think that a lot of people today, because
Correct.
again, we get these questions from young couples a lot. How do we think things like, how do we discern if we should have a child?
Correct.
And our answer is, as a Catholic, you don't discern if you should have a child. That is the default, is you are open to fruitfulness. The exception is, do we postpone? Is this a time
we
in our
discerning?
life?
Right.
Is this a time in our life where we are not able, because of finances, because of mental health, because of emotional health, to have a child? Do we discern if we postpone?
And then they're going to say, then I can take a pill and they can put a condom on. And you say,
Because again, that is the idea of your sexual relationship is not for yourself. It is not for your pleasure. It is your relationship. Your marriage is not so you can be united to your soulmate. That is not the purpose of your marriage. The purpose of your marriage is to give yourself away. And if you say to your spouse, I'm going to give you everything except for my fertility, you're not actually giving yourself to your spouse in the way that you are meant to in the sacrament of marriage.
so this is intense teaching that a lot of people, including Catholics, are going to say,
Yeah.
that is such archaic, misogynistic. You have no idea what the woman has to go through. She should have the choice. I mean, honestly, the contraceptive mentality gives way to the pro-abortion mentality.
100%. It's the seed of everything that we're reaping today. It has all started with contraception, because what it did is it separated children from marriage. It separated
That's right.
this natural, beautiful design as a gift of love into something that was simply mere entertainment and sport.
And the contraception mentality also just created a sense that you as couples can control life.
Yeah.
And only God is the Lord, the giver of life. I mean,
right.
you participate in that act, but
Yeah.
you're not in control of life.
That's right.
I mean, because there were times when you were trying to prevent it with that
That's
number
right.
3 colicky baby.
right.
And she's going to be watching this, be like, thanks, Mom. Appreciate it.
Oh no, she is
knows.
pregnant now. So I'm like, hey, what goes around comes around, you know?
Dang, you are in a vindictive
rough.
little mama, aren't you? Whoa.
No, watch, her baby will be perfect.
So, of these 10 children,
Yeah.
can you, like, I don't even want to throw anyone in the bus, but if you could just say, like, their name and how you would describe them. So we got
Oh,
Mary
Lord.
Kay,
Katie.
Katie Mary, perfect, little Patrick, gentleman, number 3. What's that name again?
Oh man,
Maura.
you sure you want to do this?
Colicky. Yeah, because
Wildflower.
Hey, can we edit this later?
never. Listen, if he can't make me taller, thinner, and better looking, then no way. Talking about my very lovely producer. But anyway,
Yes.
so number 3, give the names.
So Maura, I would say she's Wildflower.
Yeah.
Wildflower. Number
Yeah.
4.
Emily is joy.
Yep.
Okay.
her middle
Emily's
name.
be like, take that, number 3.
That's also her middle name.
Oh, really? Number 5.
Oh goodness, Maggie.
What could go into
I compassionately wise. I mean, she's going to be getting her master's degree in counseling,
Oh,
and it's she's
deep compassion.
compassion. Oh,
she's
deep
deep well.
compassion.
She's a
Okay.
deep well.
Number
Yeah.
6.
I'm gonna have to think about that. Who's number 6?
Mike-
It's Mikey.
Mikey.
Honestly, in a couple years, you're not going to know their names, much
No
less be able to
lie,
call the right
no lie.
ones.
I want to say artistic soul.
I was gonna say artistic soul too.
Number 7.
Yeah,
This is
Jimmy.
Jimmy is strength and
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll go with strength.
Number 8.
Abby.
She's just sweetness.
She's
Just sweetness
gift,
herself.
total gift.
Number 9.
Jack is just a lover. He right now he is 12 years old and he just loves He just loves
Oh,
people.
that's
He loves
cute.
us. He loves his siblings.
Loves his friends, yeah.
He loves his
Number
friends.
10.
Claire,
Oh, Claire.
leader.
Leader. She runs the family. She runs the family.
As most of the youngest children do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hello. So the reason why I asked is because you named 10 unique characteristics.
That's right.
And without any one of them, you can almost see how like something would be missing.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
And it's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And as beautiful as it is messy. Tell me, what is the messiest thing you've had to deal with as a family?
All right, so you might appreciate this, okay?
I probably will.
Because you
It has to do with
appreciate food.
I
right?
knew it. I knew it. You're so
we had a
predictable,
rule.
Mike.
We had a rule in our house that every kid needed to finish their plate. That'd be in the clean plate club. Okay, there are starving kids in the world, and they need to finish everything on their plate. So we forced not just one. We should have learned after this first one. One child, we just made them eat, and they said, "Mom, I can't eat anymore." Finish it.
Eat that food.
And it all came up at the
Nice.
dinner table.
Eat
And,
that too.
And she looked up at us and she said, I told you.
and it was bad. And everybody left the table. It was
Yeah.
it's
And
not
then
pretty.
all the kids are just like, I'm done.
Everyone starts getting pucophobia.
I know it's like down
There's
the line.
someone on our team, as soon as he
Yes.
hears the word vomit, he
Sorry,
like,
sorry. We won't make any
retches.
noises. No,
He goes
no trigger.
into apoplectic seizures.
That was messy, right?
That was messy. I mean, like with 10 kids,
Things haven't gone perfectly. Is that what you're trying to say?
well, I'm just going to say that they're still young too.
yeah, we have
There's a
10
lot-
to 27.
There's a lot of temptation
Oh,
that the younger
absolutely.
ones are going to experience.
Absolutely.
And you don't have control of it anymore.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can monitor it,
Yeah.
but they're going to make their own decisions.
Yep.
And have you braced yourselves, or have you at least encountered where the brokenness has really kind of hit you hard and you didn't know what to do?
Yeah.
So I had one experience where one of my children had borrowed my my earbuds, right? And so when I went to take them, when I put them in, they automatically connected to this child's phone,
Oh no.
and I hear something I shouldn't be hearing,
Okay.
and it was that moment of,
Sure.
you know.
Exploration of the birds and the bees.
And so I just went and I was just like, knocked on the door, said, give me your phone. And then I went to Mike and was like, me too.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's
That's
those.
the reality, right?
And was
That's
it
the
at least
reality.
a natural
So
form of it? Because there's going to be times when
totally, yeah.
you experience it. Like it's almost like I've seen this before, where you have this beautiful Catholic family praying in front of an abortion clinic,
Yep.
and some horrible pro-death of a child worker comes out and says, I hope your kid gets raped and you have to choose an abortion. Or like, I hope
That's
that
so
your
horrible,
kid
yeah.
is going to grow up to be transgender and you'll see what it's like. I mean, this stuff is unfortunately real, and the devil is real. The devil, he or she, I likes to use inclusive language when I talk about the devil. The devil wants nothing more than to destroy your family, and morality
That's right.
is going to try to do that.
That's right.
Moral questions. So how are you going to prepare yourself, or
Yep.
how have you prepared yourselves for these moral issues that are going to come and they're going to confront your family,
Yeah.
because you're going to raise them in faith, and who knows, one of them, God forbid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that in that instance, in my, trying to just keep calm and also to never, to not focus on shame, to never shame your child, right? To recognize that, especially as teenagers, they are going to test the boundaries. They have to test the boundaries.
But what if
That
it's not
is-
a test? It's just really them. They're just,
What do you
they're-
mean?
Say they're just really struggling. They could just say, I don't even know. I mean, one person has just a struggle, and they're not doing it to test you.
Yeah.
They're just struggling in something.
No, and I don't mean to test us.
Yeah.
I just mean
Testing
to
the
test the
boundary.
world.
You
You
know,
know,
where
and
the
just,
line is. Where's that
yeah,
line?
where is the line? And like you said, they feel these struggles, and it's like, okay, mom and dad said, don't cross this line. There's bad stuff on that other line, but they're like, you know what? I'm struggling. I'm just going to try it, like whatever. And first of all, to recognize that that is going to happen, and to be ready for it. And that's not that doesn't mean your child's going to go to hell right then.
Sure.
That means that your child is human, right? Because we've all struggled. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, right? Every person. And
Wait,
so
you
first of all, I hate to tell you,
interview
but- just ask my kids, they'll tell you, believe me. But that's the first thing, is to recognize that. And the second is that in that moment, I realized, because I think parents can say, I've prayed so hard. I prayed so hard that they would be protected from this. And I had a friend say to me, your prayers are what helps you discover that. It was your guardian angels. It was all of the prayers that you had said that allowed you, your guardian angel, to tap you on the shoulder and to like make that whole situation happen. And that's a mercy. That's a mercy.
That it was exposed.
So love the sinner, hate the sin.
Right.
What if your kid, I'm sorry to even put this, but I know that parents are asking this, they're asking
sure.
me.
Absolutely.
Sure.
You know, they're going to bring home a boyfriend or girlfriend that you don't like.
I had a couple of those.
Or a boyfriend. Yeah, exactly. It's called a shotgun, right? Or they're going to bring home an idea that they heard or saw on social media
For sure.
Yeah.
that has affected their understanding of self.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing that we as parents, so there's probably two different layers, right? One is a maxim that we learned was rules without relationship breed rebellion.
Repeat that.
Rules without relationship breed rebellion.
Okay.
Meaning it needs to start with love. It needs to start with relationship, meaning
Right.
you need to have a platform and a place to speak to the heart of your child. And that's earned through time. That's earned through relationships and so forth. I mean, it's not just an anecdote or anything. It's got to be substantial, because if you're the first time you're administering some level of justice to your child is when they're 16 or 17 years old and you're wondering why they're pushing back, you've got a problem, because you have a relationship so that you can form and shape them. You know, because the relationship, because there are people who fall on either side that don't have the relationship. And therefore, they're just simply rules. But then there's others who have just a relationship that are just like, I'm just my friend, the buddy of my kid. And they don't realize the point of this is this is not about a peer relationship with your child. You're supposed to be forming them. And the best way to form them isn't necessarily by teaching them, which we do at the dinner table and at different occasions. It's by them actually crossing the line. When they cross the line, that is the best time. And the earlier they do it, the more that you're sensitive and aware. So when your child stumbles onto something on the internet, totally innocent, great opportunity. Hopefully you prepared them. Hopefully you protected the computer. But you know, if they stumble into it and now you have a relationship where they're coming to you, that's when you can say, okay, now this is why, and go deep.
So this is discipline and discipleship. And I'm just going to throw it out there, and don't think that I'm trying to challenge you for the sake of challenging
Please.
you.
No, good.
My kid comes out, he's gay.
Yeah.
Or my daughter thinks she's a boy.
Yes.
Go.
Yeah.
Messy family project people.
Yeah.
The first thing is always love and accepting them. And I don't mean accepting their identity or what they think they are, but letting them know that you love them as a person and that they are loved by God. And I think that keeping that relationship intact is absolutely so very important.
So you should, because there are some uber Catholics who'd be like, you got to just, they are now korban. They are dead to me now. You are out of my life.
I pray God does not treat me that way.
That's right.
You know, when I have fallen short and separated by my own actions when I was a kid,
Correct?
he hunted me down. He brought me back.
So you can love a gay child. You can love a transgender child.
You must.
See, this is what a lot of people don't get in the Catholic Church. They think we're just a bunch of judgmental
Right.
So
prudes.
yeah. But that's the again, the beauty of being a parent, and the challenge of being a parent is that we have the long game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you've got little kids, don't wait until they're 16 to tell them and show them that they are a child of God with dignity and worth, and that they have a purpose, and that men are different than women, and that their identity is being imbued by their creator, not by their choices, not by their intellect, not by their peers. Start early with these things so that the best antidote, right, is to prepare for this today so that when you get to that moment, you've
Right.
planted a lot of intellectual and formative seeds. in their
I get
lives.
this question asked of me quite a bit, and I'll throw it out to you because I can always default and say, well, I'm not a mom and dad. I don't identify as such, but I identify as father.
There you
And so
go.
I can offer
Right.
some thoughts.
Sure.
But I will never have an understanding of love for another person the way a mom and dad has a love for this child.
Yes.
What if a what if a gay child says, "Will you come to my wedding?"
Yeah. Yeah.
What do
yeah.
you say?
Well,
and
we're
do?
So-
we're confronted with this. Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure.
And just to be clear too, that question, if there was definitive church teaching on that question, people like you and I would have a snap
An
answer,
answer.
right?
Yeah, sure.
But the thing is, there isn't. And so side note, what I personally get annoyed at is people who are asked that question and they say, this is what you should do. I am not that child, or I'm not in the shoes of that parent. And I don't know what their relationship is like with their child. And so I would greatly hesitate to say any parent, if it's not definitive church teaching, oh, this is what you do, it's wrong to do this or that. So I don't think either, anybody, we really can't say that. But what I do think that you have to consider is the situation. Do you have other children? What is the scandal that you would cause? Do you have younger children? If not, what is your relationship like with that child? I think it is a very, very difficult.
It's messy.
It is.
It's a very difficult question.
But again, like a lot of decisions that parents are confronted with, it really comes back to how much do we prepare for this? Because if it's out of left field and you've laid a foundation, they know who you are and where you stand.
Yeah.
But they also know who they are.
Yeah.
Because they should have that. And for parents, people come to us and ask similar questions, right?
Of course.
My
'Cause you're the
kid has
experts.
wandered. My kids wandered from the faith. What do
Yeah.
I do now?
Sure.
Or they're no longer really practicing. And I would say that the first response ought to be for a parent is a bit of self-reflection. Not to be beating themselves up, but be able to say, you know what, maybe there were some things I could have done better.
Yeah.
Owning my part. Like, so I have, a friend who child wandered, whether it be gender questions or faith questions, it's there's some similarities in this. And they looked and said, okay, this isn't about shame for me as a parent, but it is for me to say, you know what? I probably could have had a better relationship. I probably could have had a better witness of what married love looked like. I could have, and not as a shame, but as a recognition, so that they can say to that child, hey, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you.
Yeah.
Because the best way to begin a deeper conversation about like bringing someone back to the faith is with this humility and a humble heart and saying, I wish I was more present to you as a dad, because the greatest identifier of who God the Father is their natural father and their natural mother.
Sure.
And that they can then say, okay, now I know who my spiritual father is.
Between your first child and your last child, there's a huge difference in how you parented them. I mean,
boy,
like
yeah.
you would
Yes.
not let the first child
We have
even,
a counseling fund for the first 5, okay?
like that first child, they couldn't even touch the floor.
Yeah.
And now your last child's eating off the floor.
That's right. That's right.
Pretty
What
much.
did you learn?
Yeah.
What was the difference there?
One, it is that long game. That there is a bigger perspective. We don't freak out over little moments. Back then, we thought every little moment,
Sure.
not that they don't matter, right? But that there was like, okay, you know what? They're not going to turn into be a serial killer simply because they're pushing somebody over at the playground,
Sure.
as well as.
Wait, how hard?
I know. There's levels.
Exactly. And like off of the jungle gym or
No,
on the floor itself.
I had one of my daughters was a biter, and in a playground, I had a
Is
mother.
this the same colicky
Another-
one, number 3?
No, it's a different one.
No, we have a lot.
I had another mom say to me, "Oh, I just want to apologize right now if my son pushes over your daughter." And I said, "Oh, I'm not worried about her. She'll just bite him." So I'm going to apologize
And
now.
your
for my
mother said,
child.
come here, Johnny. A big thing, a big influence is social media. What's kind of some of your advice on that?
So I will tell you right now, for our daughter, who is now, she'll be 15 this summer. I've already told her, and this is one thing that is kind
This
of
has
black and
changed.
white for me. This has changed. She will not be on social media until she's 18, because the studies are absolutely clear, especially for girls, how harmful social media is.
So their self-esteem.
And I am just, she has a phone and she texts her friends. She can take pictures. She has really good real life relationships. Now, I'm on social media. My adult children are on social media.
Sure.
Because for teenagers especially, they are in what's called a sensitive period where they are learning about social relationships in a very particular way. And so what affects a 16-year-old is very different than if that person is exposed to the same thing when they're 24.
Sure.
Okay. So because there's just a different period of development. So absolutely, without a doubt, during the teenage years is the worst time in a child's life. Honestly, when they're 10 is better. It's
Not
the
that we're
worst
recommending that.
time. Yeah. But
Never
it's the
grow old.
it's the worst time in their life for them to be exposed to social media. So, because our boys are both on Facebook, Instagram, but they're like more interested in other things.
Yeah,
Like it's
they don't
not, it
care,
doesn't
they-
suck them in.
Well, that's good.
But yeah,
not sitting in
but
front of a video
But it
game.
took some time because, again, we have a whole guide on our website that helps parents think through and create a plan together.
Right.
Excellent.
How they're going to do it. Because again, like a lot of things that we do, it's like there's wisdom, there's principles, but you need to prudentially apply them to your situation. The American Academy of Pediatrics say wait till 8th grade
Right.
to get your kid a device.
a smartphone.
A smartphone. And, we would say wait as long as you can.
Yeah.
And don't listen to your kids say, oh, everybody has one. Well, I'm the only one who don't.
Exactly. If all your friends jumped off a bridge,
Yeah.
you do it, and they'd be like, yes,
Yes.
totally jump off the bridge.
And what's nice is that the tech companies are catching
They
up
are.
to parents, because there was a period of time, like when our,
yeah.
Facebook
It's a
came out
mess.
in when our oldest daughter was like 16, right? And so we've been through all of this time, but now finally there's great organizations like Bark or like Gab where they actually have developed
Some security measures and lockdowns.
security measures and devices that parents have more control over. See, we didn't have that 5 years ago even.
No.
But now there are more tech helps for parents than ever before.
Definitely got to be careful of what they're feeding their minds, their souls.
Oh,
their-
goodness, yes.
But now let's just do not one last question, but just a question here. What do you feed the body? Like, is there one meal that everybody can say, we all like?
You know what's the one meal everyone likes?
Pizza.
No, but that is true. Dad's fried rice. Because I like it because I
you're
don't have
so
to
Asian.
make it.
Come on, dude. Look at me. I was in a Filipino band when I was in high school.
Uncle Roger will certainly want to know about your fried rice.
Dad's pork fried rice.
Special fried rice.
It is.
Really?
Yeah.
And I literally cannot
Next
make it like
time.
him. Yeah.
Okay.
That's really
What's
good.
the secret ingredient?
You don't want to know.
Fish sauce.
No, a little bit of sugar.
Oh, no, that's normal.
No, he is Irish, so it's probably salt and butter.
Yeah, I do everything with butter. Butter makes everything
Yeah.
better.
Now, what's one thing that you'd like for people to walk away with after hearing this conversation? And what's one thing that you'd want people not to walk away with?
One thing to walk away with. One, their job as a parent is more important than any other role, any other title, any other responsibility they will have
So true.
on their earthly life.
So true.
And your kids need you in spite of what their eye rolls or their feet dragging.
Yep.
Play with them, have fun with them, form them. You are essential.
And what about the things you don't want them to walk away with? Is number 3 was colicky?
Yes.
I think that I would want them to never think that I can't do this. Like if sometimes people would look at us and be like, oh, I could never have 10 kids, or I could never. And that's not true, because anything that God calls us to, he always gives us the grace
Don't give
to
into
do
the
it.
fear.
Yeah, he always gives us the grace to do whatever he's calls us to.
Where can people learn about the Messy Family Project?
Yeah, so visiting us at messyfamilyproject.org. We have tons of resources. We have virtual date nights, guides, lots of stuff for parents and for strengthening marriages.
Michael and Alicia, thank you for being a part of the show.
God bless
Absolutely.
you,
Thanks for
Father.
having us.
And if you want to hear my carry-out order, what did I learn? What did I take away from this experience of talking about a messy family? And it is a project. Make sure you join our Patreon community. There you can subscribe and get great content, as well as links to their resources, so that you will be filled body, mind, and soul. And remember always, keep dishing out faith, culture, and commentary. Your family needs it. Stay hungry for God. God bless you.